Hey, welcome back to Heroes and Videos. We're going to be talking about last week's comics this week, kind of like Jon Oliver's last week tonight. We're going to be looking at last week's comics this week. Semi-spoilers ahead. Would love for you to like the channel. If you want to wait till the end of the video to like the channel, that'll be great. That way you can see if you want to like it or not. You know, I dare you, I double dog dare you to like the video and hit subscribe if you like watching the channel and watching the content. If you stick around to the end of the video, we're going to talk a little bit about one of the funnier comics I've read this year, where we've got the Cape Crusader and everyone's favorite Chimichanga lover, if that tips you off to what's going on there. And near the end, I think I might have figured out the secret sauce in Mark Waid's World's Finest run. It was right there in front of us all along. I don't know why I didn't realize this earlier, but we'll also talk about that towards the end of the video as well. With no further ado, let's get right into it. First up, we've got Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum, number 2. This is a variant cover. It's a really fun book. It's definitely golden age kind of stuff because everything's a little bizarre. There's a whole bunch of different kryptonites that different colored kryptonites that have been discovered, and Superman has the crazy idea to test them on himself to see what's going on or what each one of them does to him. If you noticed here, this one, I thought this was kind of cool. I had this for a while before I noticed this. You actually, the old catchphrase is everything in it is on this cover. It's a bird. It's plain. It's Superman. The bird's obviously down there, and the plane, if you'll notice, is on this side of our hero. He is huge, as Tiny Nicolas Cage would say on SNL years ago. He's huge, man. I guess he was Tiny Elvis, but yeah, that's the problem with this kryptonite, is it makes Superman giant. How will he get out of this? Well, you kind of have to read it to find out. It's one of 5 issues. This is number 2. It's just been kind of fun. If you like that, if you like that 50s kind of bizarre, almost anything can happen. That's and all this wacky stuff happening. That series is all about that. Speaking of almost anything that can happen, one of my favorite characters, Danny Rand, is back as the undead Iron Fist. This is also a variant cover. Not a big fan. They killed him off, I think, a few years ago when, I want to say it might have been his 50th anniversary special. Love that character. Have his original appearance, and that Marvel premiere run, as well as the almost all of his 15-issue run. You can probably guess which issue I do not have. Looking at you, Sabretooth. But this is kind of cool. I don't know if this is what he looks like now. Again, semi-spoilers for this whole video, but I enjoyed this. It's Danny Rand back to the cool stuff he did, kind of like during the was it Mac Fraction that did that seminal Immortal Iron Fist run. And correct me in the comments if I don't have that right or correct, but it brings back to that period, like in the early Marvel premieres, where he's got all these cool names for each of his moves. The fighting scenes are great in this. It's very enjoyable. Luke Cage is in it, which is kind of neat. It's I'm hoping it's the return of the character, because I really do enjoy Danny Rand as Iron Fist. So that's the Undead Iron Fist number 1. Ultimates. The Ultimates has been kind of hit and miss for me. It's a pretty ambitious book. That Jonathan Hickman hasn't been on it for a while. I didn't notice that for a while. I guess that's a testament to the book. Some of these have been hit or miss for me. This is a really neat self-contained issue, Ultimate 16, about they've got this resistance going in the book where the Ultimates have an app, and they're fighting against the system, if you will, of government and just world order that's in place. If you haven't been following the Ultimate Universe, you should. The Marvel's new Ultimate Universe is where the maker, who was Reed Richards from the original Ultimate Universe, if I'm saying that correctly, he created a universe through time travel. He basically went back and altered things to where our heroes didn't become the heroes we're used to. So he was kind of ruling the world behind the scenes with a bunch of villains, and he's been part of the, I don't want to give too much away, but part of the conceit of the first issue or 2 of the Ultimates is he gets locked away for a period of time, and the Ultimates and the heroes are trying to take the world back. before he comes out of wherever they've trapped him. It's kind of like that world, or the hidden world thing. I don't remember what they called it in the original Ultimate Universe, where the Maker was trapped in this other world for something like 18 months. It's a similar concept. This one's neat, though, because it introduces a new character. I don't believe she has powers. It's just the idea this is someone who doesn't know who to believe, doesn't know who to trust in a world that's becoming increasingly authoritarian. So shades of sometimes a little close to home, but it's really well done. It's a good one-shot story, and it also ties into what they're doing in the book. One World Under Doom is still cruising right along. This is another variant cover. Must be variant cover week. The Doctor Doom is, Sorcerer Supreme and in charge of the Marvel Universe pretty much. This is going to be apparently a 9-issue limited series. The last issue had a long intellectual debate between Reed Richards and Doctor Doom. This one, the debate or the confrontation is less intellectual. Let's just say that. I don't want to spoil anything. Really good book. That I love how Marvel has drawn this out. They haven't made it easy. It's the idea that, hey, if Doctor Doom is able to make things work well and everybody's happy and safe and secure, it doesn't matter that he's ruling the world. So again, shades of the times we live in, but it's a really interesting book, and the art's beautiful. So One World Under Doom, highly recommend. This is a new one. Again, variant cover. Supposed to be, I think, like Hunt for Red October. It's called No Man's Land. I've been picking up more independent things recently, trying to expand my horizons beyond just Marvel and DC. This is the story of, and I have to assume it's accurate. I can't remember the names of the islands. It's there's one. Hang on, let me. It doesn't matter. There are 2 islands on the Bering Strait, and I think you kind of see them here on the cover. And I think Russia and the U.S. are only something like 3 miles apart, 6 miles apart when you really look at it out there across the Bering Strait. And this book takes place in the 80s, so before the fall of the Soviet Union and the wall in Berlin. There's a murder that's happened in this no man's land between the U.S. and Russia, and this American agent has been sent to investigate it, or he's an older, it's not quite Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon, but he's an older agent. He's on his way to retirement. He doesn't, really doesn't need this, and he's too old for for this. But he's called into duty. There are these 2 islands, and the way it's written up, I need to look into this. I'm assuming this is historically accurate, or geographically accurate, in that there's I don't remember. It starts with a D, but let's call it D Island. But there's a little D Island, and there's a big D Island. That sounds terribly inappropriate, but and D is not the name of the island. It just starts with a D. The Russians have the larger island. We have the smaller island, but it ices over during certain parts of the year to where they're not islands. There's an ice bridge between them. The bridge is melting is what it says, but no man's land is basically that. Of course, there's a murder that happens in that space, and he's been sent to investigate it. The art is beautiful. It looks almost photographic. The story so far is gripping. I'm curious to see where this is going to go. I'm going to give it at least one more issue. I'll report back to you next month and let you know what that is. But No Man's Land, and I don't even know. Oh, it's from Image Comics. So there you go. But I'll let you know what I think of the second issue too. But so far I'm invested after one. Phoenix wrapped up the Phoenix series that was going on with Jean Grey. I have mixed feelings about this book. I really enjoy the fact that not since Ron Lim, Steve Englehart, Marshall Rogers, and then eventually Starlin and Ron Lim were doing Silver Surfer back in the 90s, have I really felt like a book has been super interstellar, if you will. Now, I take that back. The Guardians books, Dan Abnett, and I can't remember the other one's name, DNA. Their books seemed pretty stellar, pretty interstellar, if you will, cosmic. This book has been that, and that it's hard to, a character like Phoenix, it's hard to give them a foe, because they're just so all powerful. This does well with that, but they were rolling through some big foes like Thanos, and it was I want to say a God Killer was in there for a bit, and a lot of these super powerful, omnipotent beings were facing off against Phoenix. So this is kind of the end of that major storyline. The only drawback, I don't like to make the channel negative. I like to think about positive stuff, because honestly, creating any art, or any work of art, whether we're talking writing, movies, film, art, music, it takes it's incredible that people have gifts at all to be able to do this. So I radically appreciate and in awe of folks that can't do this. That being said, I did feel like there were, I'm noticing in this series, particularly in recent months, a lack of backgrounds. And maybe when you're in, the white hot room, or you're in these vast spaces within the galaxy, there's not a lot to do backgrounds on, but it was starting to get noticeable to me. But again, good book. It's wrapped up with number 15 as the X-Men start the big event this month coming up. But enjoy the book. It's a really good book. So Phoenix, 15 issues. You should check it out. Speaking of the X-Men, Uncanny X-Men 21, loving both of the flagship titles of this book, X-Men and Uncanny X-Men. This one's great. I'm not always a big fan of new sets of mutants when they bring them around and they have a class, if you will, of new folks. The 4 characters in this book are pretty neat. I think some of them are going to stick around. This one focuses on Valentine, I think is how you pronounce his name. And there he is with Wolverine facing off against a whole bunch of folks at what is, I believe, a South American comic convention, which is kind of cool. But it's a neat, pretty much one and done story. You know everything you need to know going into it. But it's just been neat over these 21 issues to watch as these 4 new kids that are, they're not all kids, as young adults, some of them, but these 4 new X-Men become really part of the X family. The regular X-Men, if you will, or established X-Men in this title are Wolverine, Rogue, and Gambit, Nightcrawler. I know I'm missing somebody, but that escapes me. But they're in New Orleans, and it's really cool that the new kids are working in as family with the established X-Men. So great book. Have no idea where any of the X titles are going after the Apocalypse stuff that's coming up, but both of those titles, X-Men and Uncanny X-Men, been very enjoyable. Now, I mentioned earlier the secret sauce in World's Finest, and I should have known this all along. This is World's Finest number 43. It's Bizarro. I think we've talked about that in previous videos. You've got Bizarro Brainiac and Bizarro Batman and Bizarro Superman, which I guess technically is just Bizarro. And it's a really entertaining 3-parter, and this is the conclusion of it. I realized reading this book, it hit me what that secret sauce is. And if you're wondering, there's a secret, or there was a major hint here behind me, though it's not the same Robin. These books all take place back when Dick Grayson was Robin. It's just a cool thing. If you haven't read the World's Finest books, you should. Way back, we're used to thinking of World's Finest as Batman and Superman, but it wasn't always Batman and Superman. A lot of those old titles with the big 2 in it also included Robin. It was Batman, Superman, and Robin. And there are just some scenes in this book particularly. They're not huge scenes. They're bit scenes here and there. And again, Dick Grayson is Robin, that just make you realize just how cool that character was. Like younger Dick Grayson, even teen Dick Grayson, pretty cool character. And yes, Nightwing's a great character too, as he's grown. But that's just part of the secret sauce of this book. Even back to when it first started, or at least this volume first started. Having Dick Grayson in that dynamic with Bruce and Clark is just gold. It's just fantastic. So yeah, really enjoying this book month in and month out. This thing is It's just an amazing book. Yes, absolutely World's Finest in terms of comics. Now, my favorite character, Amazing Spider-Man. We talked about, this is number 12, number 11, which was Legacy 975. Just an incredible swerve for the comic. 4 or 5 issues ago, Spider-Man Pete was in this big knockdown drag out fight, which ended with him just beaten to a pulp. And then the next issue started out, we really weren't sure what was going on. and it would, he had a brace on his leg. It seemed to be beaten and whatnot. Didn't want to have anything to do with superheroics, which did not seem like our guy. And then after a couple of issues of that, and Spider-Man showing up, being particularly aggressive in taking out villains. I think the Shocker had a team of Shockers, is what they were called, shockingly enough. But we were wondering still what was going on. Well, the last issue told us not only what was going on with Spider-Man, but also what was going on with Peter Parker, or at least who we thought were these characters. And again, I'm going to do a deep dive on that whole run here in a few weeks. But so I won't spoil it right in this moment. But as you can see now, Spider-Man is taking on sort of the Spider family. Spider-Gwen, Spider-Boy, Silk, Miles Morales, and a character I should know, but I don't. So there you go. The exception proves the rule. You'll see Spider-Man down at the bottom. He's got those interesting... Oh, he's not wearing the web shooter things that he's got inside of the book. But at any rate, in 975, or current volume 11, it was 2 stories, and it told us literally what was going on with the characters. And so it split it up to where every 2 weeks a different part of that story can be told, different half of that story can be told. This is the half with Spider-Man. I don't want to spoil too much. We'll get into deep spoilers maybe next week. But the cover's really cool. The story's great. I really enjoy it. The character who is currently Spider-Man, I usually have no sympathy for, and they brought me around on this character the last couple of years, and particularly in this issue. It's just it's fascinating. You wonder, like, hey, what can you do with character A or B or X, or in this case O? What can you do with this character to keep them fresh and interesting? And they're doing things with that character to keep them fresh and interesting. So last up, funniest comic book I read this week, maybe funniest comic book I read this year: Deadpool, Batman, Marvel and DC getting together. I got the Infinity Gauntlet cover, which I just could not resist, with Deadpool with the Infinity Gauntlet there, Batman in the background, as well as the Joker. You see on each of these little side pieces where these are some of the other team-ups. Now, definitely the headliners are the big story in this book, but Wonder Woman, Captain America is there, which Wonder Woman, apparently, just like Peter Parker, Wolverine, and I'm missing somebody in the Marvel Universe, has a thing for redheads. Apparently, Diana has a thing for Steves. Just saying. Crypto and Jeff the Shark. There's Captain America at the bottom. Green Lantern and Rocket Raccoon, which is a pretty cool mix. And then Daredevil and Green Arrow. But the Deadpool Batman team up was just great. Just when you think, or just when I've thought, and sorry, Wade, you can, whoops, where did you go? Wade, you can close your ears here. Actually, you've got Wade over on Spider-Man shelf 2 today. I'm not sure if the Deadpool shtick was getting old or whatnot. I don't read. My son reads the comic. I have not been reading it monthly for a while. Deadpool shtick did not get old here. It was, I feel really weird saying Deadpool shtick. I'm sure Wade would have fun with that. But yeah, this is hilarious. This book is really funny. Things that these characters and talking to each other, it's just that same dynamic you've got where you've got Bruce or Batman playing straight man to Deadpool's Wade, just like with Deadpool Wolverine. I mean, it's a great combination and a really fun book. So highly recommend Deadpool Batman, whichever cover you decide to get. It is really good. And then a couple others behind me here from the last few weeks: Fantastic Four and New Avengers. I'm enjoying them as well. Just didn't make the cut for me to go to deep dive with them. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave in the comments what books you're reading now, what you like. Have you read any of these books, and what you like about them, and what you're enjoying about what you're reading now. Would love to hear some recommendations in the comments below, in the comments below about the comics. In the meantime, as always, keep reading comics, keep going to see movies, and be kind to each other.